Welcome back, everyone, to C&M in the PM. It's your boys, Joe and Michael.
Hurt.
It's been a bit.
Have been a bit.
It's been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We took the first week off for Michael's sake. He was having a few health issues, and then we took the second week off for my sake, as I was also having some health issues that week, as well as it was a holiday
Yeah, I was gonna
weekend.
say it was Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so it wasn't a particularly convenient weekend anyways, but I was available to record.
Shit happens.
Yeah, that's an apt way of putting it. But we're back on a Friday night, not our usual recording time, so kind of hard to say we're back. And I quite frankly was worried that since we missed 2 weeks, as well as neither of us have uploaded any content since week 4. So if you're hearing this as
It
a
ain't gonna be
recording,
soon.
it ain't gonna be soon.
This is
Yes, the
at least
current
a
day
month old.
is December 3rd, 2021 is the day of recording.
So when this comes out on December 5th, 2022.
Oh, it shouldn't be that bad. But if you're listening to a recording of this, then you found our podcast most likely significantly later than we've started. So you wouldn't immediately necessarily recognize that there's been a large gap in our uploads, and probably just been a combination of both of us being either too busy or too stressed or just kind of forgetting about it. We have all the recordings, and we do very minimal editing. It's not like there's a ton that has to be done. We just haven't done it.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm hopefully gonna get some done tomorrow and Sunday because I'm dog sitting, so I'll have free time to spare while I hang out with some dogs. Or I might end up
That'll
playing
be
games
nice.
on my computer, so who knows?
And yeah, and I intend to catch up over the Christmas break. I just kind of need to finish my semester,
Oh,
and then
look
I'll
at me,
have
I
a
have a
bunch of
Christmas
free
break.
time. Look at look at me, I get paychecks. Like,
Alright, you got a point.
oh. Anyway, so yeah, I was worried we'd miss a bunch of weeks and kind of fall off because we missed 2, and once you let a habit like fall off, it's kind of difficult to pick it up. But I can genuinely say I'm excited to be recording
We
right
back.
now. Yeah. And I think a big part of it has to do with the fact that we've been playing video games together for the past little while,
Yeah. Like
few hours.
past few hours we've been playing some games, just getting the dialogue flowing. And we played
Yeah,
last night too.
we did.
We shouldn't
We
have,
did.
but we did.
We shouldn't have, and that will be part of the conversation today, most assuredly. But yeah, normally when we go to record, I hop in the call like 10 minutes before we go live because I'm typically I have this Arma unit that I play with, and so the operations typically end anywhere between 9:30 and 10:30. And so when that's done, if it ends at like 9:30 and I have the time, I'll go make dinner, I'll relax, and I'll just kind of get mentally ready for the podcast. But if it ends closer to 10:30, then I hop in a rush. And then you're used to me just kind of hopping in last minute, so then you also just hop in last
Yeah.
minute. So we're not normally warmed up,
Well,
and
the
that
other
can
thing is, I feel like we don't normally have our topic till like 5-10 minutes before the podcast. But we were talking about our topic last night when we were on a call.
yeah. And to that extent, I will now turn it over to you to explain what is happening on the screen to people tuned into the stream and or watching YouTube video, and then to B, actually introduce the topic and start the conversation this week.
I actually found some clouds, so it's just clouds. Pretty chill. It's chill vibes.
Okay.
The
That's
clouds
nice.
seem to match the topic a lot better than balls bouncing around. They're
Yes.
like cartoon clouds.
That's fun.
Yeah, you gotta have some fun. um, and because of the super special occasion that is today, we're going to be talking about mental health issues. And
Again.
again, but like intentionally and not going off topic to talk about mental health issues because we both have them, and isn't kind of we're slowly working on it ish, kinda.
Crying. Yeah.
Yelled at a therapist earlier this week or last week, sorry, but
Well, what'd they do?
called me.
Oh yeah, yeah, you were telling me
Yeah,
about that.
he called me because I specifically instructed him to call me if I was ignoring his text messages, and then he did it like a fucking lunatic. Actually, he's
No,
a
I
great
think he
guy.
did it like a responsible therapist.
Oh, he did it
I think
like
some of that.
exactly how I instructed him to? What an asshole.
I think some of that aggression might be misplaced there, but
It 100% is, okay? um, but I thought this was a good day to talk about this topic, and of course, we're doing it on a Friday because Joe's busy tomorrow night. And it happens to line up perfectly that this week is exactly 1 year from my last suicide attempt. So it seemed like a fitting day to talk about mental health problems because, anniversaries and stuff. People like those, right?
yeah.
I think the best thing to start with is a basic rundown of anything diagnosed or undiagnosed that we got going on. Joe, what you got to idea?
All right. So none of this is diagnosed. Because my parents are psychopaths. Who? No, that's not fair. None of this is
Now
diagnosed
that
because I've
is anger pointed in the wrong direction there, my friend.
none of this is diagnosed because I have never ever been to a therapist, psychiatrist, psychologist, any sort of professional who would deal with mental health issues. That being said, they're still there because I'm miserable. Um, and so, best I can figure, based on what's going on, is I believe I'm undiagnosed ADHD. My grandfather is diagnosed ADHD, and ADHD is highly genetic. Uh, and so, my dad, myself, my brother, and my grandfather all have very similar thought processes, and our minds all work very similarly. And so, considering one of us has ADHD, the assumption is all of us have ADHD. That ADHD has then led, with a combination of a few other things, to severe anxiety, depression, certain suicidal inclinations, um, and insomnia. And I don't know what causes what. I may not have ADHD. Anxiety might cause ADHD like symptoms or something along those lines. But that is kind of the general mix of what is going on in my mind. Um, in these days, like I don't know for sure that I have ADHD or insomnia. Like I might just like staying up and I might not actually have a mental disorder. I might just be um distracted due to anxiety and depression. But I like 100% for sure have anxiety and depression and have for a long time, and I will fight anybody that tries to fight me about that.
Yeah, huh, I agree. I would argue it just to be an ass, but no, I agree. Um,
You agree as in you know me and so you
I know
agree that
you
I
well
have
enough
these.
that, yeah, from talking to
Okay.
you and knowing you since we were little. I would agree with your assessment.
Yeah.
I am almost the exact opposite. I have a therapist, a psychiatrist, and an AMT, my anger management therapist. I have been diagnosed with OCD when I was 6, 7, somewhere in there. I think 6. And then on top of that, I have insomnia, which is, as a theory, theoretically, it's from my OCD. That's not confirmed, but like, that's what 2 out of the 3 think, and the AMT doesn't really get a say about the whole OCD and insomnia thing. Um, oh, let me. Okay, so my OCD, my insomnia, which again OCD related, depression, which is due to a lack of serotonin, which is also possibly OCD related. Not entirely sure about that one. Um, severe anger issues, which I have gotten a lot better at controlling in the last couple years, but still a thing. Also OCD related. Um, I feel like there's one more before I say the last one, but I can't remember what it is. Oh,
I don't
uh,
either.
acute stress disorder, which is
Mm,
like anxiety but not as bad. But mixed acute stress disorder with OCD and yeah, not good times.
pretty much
Um,
just
which
anxiety at that point.
which again is grounded presumably in my OCD. Of course, you never know because you'd have to catch that before you start seeing. We don't know what causes what because you'd have to do studies where you catch OCD or depression or acute stress disorder or anger problems before they were like 5, and that's just not going to happen because you can't monitor
Yeah.
every child. Um, and then the last thing, which is not OCD related at all, is sociopathic tendencies, which is always fun. It's like the opposite end of the scale from psychopathic tendencies, but
Which
instead of feeling everything, you
we,
feel nothing.
yeah. Which on that topic we have had discussions on, and while it's not strong enough for me to make a statement such as saying I have psychopathic tendencies, but it doesn't not fit
You have some
when you look
tendencies
at it on
that could,
paper.
you have some tendencies that could be seen as psychopathic
Yeah, yeah, that's an apt description.
or sociopathic. Sorry, not psychopathic.
No, no, no.
You'd be it.
If you look at psychopathic on paper, it also kind of lines up more so than sociopathic. But that's not the topic for right now because
Hmm.
I am well adjusted. Ha ha.
Yeah, me too. I live a normal life. I work a job every day, and just make my money and go home.
What a lad.
Definitely don't get panic attacks from hanging out with people I've known since I was 4. That would never happen. That'd be ridiculous. Also, why we canceled 2 weeks ago.
Yep. I, uh, so yeah, anniversaries. It's kind of a big deal. I, for one, can say I'm glad that you're still here. I know you're not always glad you're still here. Um, but I'll get what I can get.
we we had a discussion with me and my buddy Jeff, and he said I am immortal until proven otherwise, and I responded with I'm immortal and I've been proven right.
Now,
um,
this would be because your attempts have, well, I think I think that's a good distinction to go ahead and make. Is your attempts have been attempts.
yes,
Like I've gotten very close to killing myself. And so, for example, My birthday is a very difficult day for me because 2020 on my birthday, I got the closest I've ever been to actually killing myself, and it was very scary because I wasn't scared. Um, and the only thing that kind of kept me around was I didn't want my parents to have to deal with all the paperwork for if I wrecked the car. Whereas you've actually wrecked the car.
Yep, in that situation, and
Yes.
it's the same. The worst part about it was that I wasn't scared. That I just accepted it. I was like, okay, here we go. This is it. And that is that was number two. And it was a shit time, but it was a time that I lived through on depending on how you see it, unfortunately or fortunately. Um Quick rundown. Over medicating, car accidents, car accident, and then two attempts at um, hanging myself. One ending over medication. I literally just puked, like I involuntarily puked, and that's what happened. Uh, Car wreck. The telephone pole just barely missed the frame of my car, which instead of going through the windshield and breaking my shoulder, I got a bruised collarbone and a minor concussion from the airbag. Um, Number three would have been the rope breaking and just frayed rope, old rope sitting around. Um, and then four would be the concussion from the branch breaking on the tree, which is the funniest fucking shit. I'll tell you, that shit's hilarious.
That obviously this would not happen in the Three Stooges in the sense that none of the Three Stooges would try to hang themselves.
Fucking
But
no.
the idea of the tree branch breaking and falling directly on your head is quite humorous.
Yeah. Oh.
Out of the context of why it
Of why
broke.
it broke. Yeah. Yeah. Out of context, a tree branch broke and fell on my head and gave me a concussion. That shit's
And I'm
hilarious.
sure that that out of context version is what quite a few people know if they know anything.
No, I'm very open about it actually. I don't
Yeah,
care
I
who knows.
guess. That's true.
I very
I
openly
suppose
I very openly talk about it and also joke about it because come on man, that shit funny. Like you can't we were
yeah, I suppose
go
I'm
ahead.
more closed about stuff because um of my direct family, my brother is the only one who really knows kind of the extent of what's going on. And I don't even know to what extent. Like, I just can't remember what I've told him. My sister and my parents know that I am struggling and I am unhappy, but they don't really know much else. I think they know I have anxiety because I had a few breakdowns in high school before my anxiety was even that bad. Um, but then yeah, so my direct family, I just don't tell them anything, and then the people around me, there's close friends like you, Kyle, a few IRL close friends that kind of know what's going on. But as I'm a college student and I don't really leave my dorm room very often, a lot of my social interactions are with people that I'm not super close with, and so if I make jokes about mental health, they kind of don't take it well because they don't really know me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I struggle with like people asking me how I'm doing, even people that like kind of know me, and I'll just be like, "Oh, I'm doing terrible." And then immediately they're just like their entire face is like, "What the fuck?" Like, let's talk about it. Like, what's wrong? And I'm just like, "Oh, no, like I've just always done terrible
I'm
my
just
entire life.
always
Please don't
terrible.
worry about
Yeah.
it." Yeah,
It's
like
fine. Don't
this
worry. Yeah, I'm
and
doing
so
terrible,
I
but it's actually like par.
yeah, it's so it's just so few people around me know because I'm just not close to many people. I can't be open about it because that makes people confused, concerned, and uncomfortable,
Yeah. Which
which is
is,
understandable.
I was gonna say, which is understandable because, like, yeah, it's kind of a taboo topic. Which is, I think, I think me and you also give off um, very different vibes about it. Because, like, I make sure very intentionally to help out anyone I can who's having any sort of issues with um, any mental health struggles. I try my very best to either relate with them, talk to them about it, just listen, whatever they need, right? And we I almost ended up in some hot water at my old job at the Pervs because of that. Because me and my buddy were talking about his mental health struggles, and of course, then I made the joke um, that that specific day seemed like a good day for attempt number five, thinking it was just the two of us in that room, and it was not. And
Yeah.
so the manager was like, "Hey, man, are you okay?" I was like, "No, I'm not, but it's fine." Like, I'm mentally, no, absolutely not. I'm not okay, but at the same time, I'm the fact that I'm aware of that and that I'm trying to do something about it rather than just being an ass and being like, "Oh, yeah, no, I'm fine. Come on, guys. I'll just I'll just live through it, you know?" Because that's not the way
Yeah.
to do it. Anyone
And
who
I
tells
think
you it is stupid.
yeah. And I think part of part of my struggle with other people and being open and stuff like that is like I see so much content these days that frustrates me so much about different stuff, and even some content that's like targeted towards maybe people struggling with mental health. And so, like, one thing, this is arguably a bit off topic, but I've just thought of this is like the current meme that is actually like now just a trend of this idea of a Sigma grind set and this constant need for a side hustle and all this content that I'm seeing on YouTube that's Joe Rogan or Jordan Peterson or Gary Vee and just various entrepreneurs or successful people that are talking about like all these things that you have to do in order to be successful and all this stuff. And like my standards of success are just different. Like anyone who knows me knows that like what I want in life is not like necessarily the idea of like white picket fence, five people in the family, a dog and a cat. Kind of that deal of I don't want a lot. I've never wanted a lot. I don't care about money. I don't care about wealth. Like I want health. I want a stable job I enjoy and I want a family I love. And so when I'm constantly seeing all this content that is targeted towards people kind of struggling to find their place in the world and maybe struggling a bit with anxiety or struggling a bit with depression, and all of it is telling them to just like, if you're not doing everything, then you're worthless. And that's just very difficult content to try and absorb because even because not only is all this content that I don't even want to be seeing, but it's just popping up through my YouTube recommended or this or that is telling me I'm worthless, but it's also just even if I was doing fine, it would still be telling me I'm worthless because I'm not trying to meet those standards that I just don't even want to get to.
I think along that same line, I think the problem is everyone just wants money.
Hmm.
Is what is happening with those kind of things. Is it's they don't care about their relationships with others. They don't care about family. They don't care about their own well-being mentally or physically. They just want the money. That's all they care about. And I think that's shit. And I'm in a good paying job.
Yeah.
And it's just shit. Like, I'm in a good paying job, but I'm in a good paying job because it's something I love waking up and doing every day. Waking
Yeah.
up, in air quotes. But it's something I, like, yeah, it's hard work. It's physical labor. But it's what I love to do. There's definitely jobs that pay more. There's definitely things I can do in this line of work that would make me more money. That's not what I'm here for. Like, yeah, I could do my apprenticeship and then start my own shop and yada 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 and make a whole shit ton of money. But I don't want to run a shop. I just want to work in a shop. I just want to be one of the guys in the shop, hanging out, having a good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't need the added stress. I have enough stress coming from in my own head already. But anyone I've talked to is like, well, are you going to start your own shop when you're done your apprenticeship? No, I'm not going to start my own shop. You think I'm a lunatic? I might buy my own machines to have stuff to do at home.
Yeah.
Like, have a lathe or a mill sitting at home to do all my own little projects. But I'm not going to start a shop. Like, ah. But it's just people they're only thinking about the money. Like, but if you start a shop, you can do this and you'll make so much cash. And it's like, but that's not why I'm doing this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm working in a shop because I enjoy the environment of working in a shop and just doing what needs to get done that day. And someone else is telling me what to do.
Yeah.
I have a
Well,
hard enough time
it's
figuring
like
out what I want to do, let alone telling other people what to do too.
it's like that meme that we were talking about the other day where it's like hot metal is a very touchable hue of orange.
It is.
And like I completely agree. It's a you saying like, yeah, I just like being in the shop. I enjoy the shop. It's like for you, your satisfaction is in your work, not in your paycheck.
Yeah.
And for me, it will be the same thing because I intend to become a school teacher, and there is not any money in that.
I mean,
Now, certain countries, certain states, sure, there's some money.
I don't know if you know what the
Um,
Sunshine List is. It's a thing in Ontario, and it's
mhm.
anyone whose yearly income is over $100,000 in Ontario is on this list. Like, you can look up anyone who makes over $100,000 in Ontario every year. You can look up.
I'm uncomfortable with that level of information being available to the public.
The majority of teachers at my high school, my public school, the principal, any head of
Yeah,
department, any head of a grade in elementary school is on the Sunshine List.
yeah,
Most of the guys I work with are on the Sunshine List. Well, technically, it's government people who earn over
yeah,
100,000. So, like, people who work for, say, I don't know, the road working company. or education. But that's the
That's Canada.
third. Yeah, it's here.
And that's kind of what I was getting at with some countries or certain
So it
states are
means
better, but
what it
like
really
the
means is
areas
you
I'm
have to
looking
move
to
here.
work. Yes,
You
and
have to
we've
move to
discussed that
Canada.
plenty. For those of you who don't know, while I am an American, I do like the idea of immigrating to Canada. And I actually recall Kyle had forgotten this, and when I reminded him, he kind of got a little panicked. Kyle promised me back in 2015 that if Trump were elected, I could marry one of his sisters and escape to Canada through that. And it was completely in jest because I didn't actually care. I did not care who was elected, but as hopefully many of you remember, the Canadian immigration and or tourism site crashed the day that Trump was announced as the Republican lead for the election.
Which is
Because some
hilarious.
Oh, it's for sure hilarious. It's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah,
Because
don't hang out with
I've
that
liked the
idiot.
idea of
Hang out with
living.
our idiot.
That's the other thing is, well, yeah, Trudeau and Trump are very different.
They're very different.
But
Doesn't make him any more intelligent. You know what
but
we were
as you know,
talking
I've
about
like
the other week? This is off topic. I'm sorry. You go ahead.
that's fine. I was just gonna say, I mean, you know that I've liked the idea of moving to Canada since like long before Trump was president.
Oh yeah. No, what I was gonna say is we were talking with a couple of guys and Canadian history. I know you're a history guy, but Canadian history and past prime ministers probably isn't your forte.
No,
But our current prime minister Justin Trudeau, his dad Pierre Trudeau, uh, was also a prime minister, and
I did know that.
he made some questionable decisions while in office.
I do not know what he did in office, but I do know that he was hated by many, many people, just like
He
his son.
called in the military on peaceful protesters
I mean, we do that all the time.
and put the entire country in a state of emergency because of peaceful protests in Quebec.
We if that had been America, just Quebec would have entered a state of emergency. Maybe the neighboring provinces, but like British Columbia would have been fine.
Yeah, no. He put the entire country into a state of emergency, which gives him power to
Hmm.
do whatever the fuck he wants. Which was the real problem. Was that now he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah,
And so we were saying, because of course you learn about this guy in history, because obviously he was an ass. Well, also he's French, so like that's implied.
and a politician.
Yeah. But then we were talking about some of the new laws that Justin Trudeau has been talking about with censorship, because unlike the United States, we do not have free speech in Canada, no matter what anybody says. We don't. It's not in our constitution. It's not a thing. And there
Yeah.
are some interesting censorship laws that Justin Trudeau is trying to introduce. And we thought it would be really funny if in 20, 30, 40 years, whatever, there's a group of kids sitting in history class and they have to learn about Pierre Trudeau. And then the next lesson is about Justin Trudeau. We thought that shit was funny. He tried to pass these censorship laws and failed because he didn't have enough seats. So he called an emergency election to try and get more seats, lost 2 seats, and didn't put it back up for vote again.
Yeah. On the note of censorship, and I I kind of want to get political because like I just like talking about whatever's on topic, and right now this is what's on topic. Screw mental health, no offense to mental health or us, but like this is just where we are currently.
Time out just as a pause. 11:36. It is officially exactly 1 year.
Congratulations.
There we go. I did it a whole year. All right,
I'm
where's
proud of
my
you.
shotgun?
It's to shoot confetti, guys. Calm down.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, hey, whoa, whoa. I'm just gonna go shoot some skeet to celebrate. All right, calm down.
Uh,
Then I'll,
but
then I'll grab my
yeah,
cannon.
now that
That's for glow sticks. You put glow
uh,
sticks in there, that shit looks amazing. I'll get Bunsen to send you a video.
I would very much like to see that. So one thing that I love hearing Americans talk about is free speech, because so many have no clue what it means at all. Um, so like some of the things just in recent years that have been of interest is desecrating the American flag. For example, flag burning. If you ask the vast majority of right-leaning Americans whether or not it is okay to burn the American flag, they will tell you that it is against the law.
It is not.
It is not. The Supreme Court has many times defended the right of citizens to do whatever they want to the American flag, including burn it.
Except
It is.
there is an exception to anything they want with the flag.
Go on.
You cannot fly it upside down on a ship.
Like, are you referring to like the United States Navy? Because I think the military,
No, no,
the,
no.
the military is a little different from.
Any ship that is flying under the American flag cannot fly it upside down
That makes sense.
because it means you're in a state of emergency.
Yeah.
So for
Which
safety
on
reasons,
that,
you legally cannot.
yeah.
Unless you're in
On
a
that
state of
note,
emergency, in which case, fly it upside down.
there was a house growing up that flew the American flag upside down for the entirety of the Obama administration, and the day Trump was elected, started flying it right side up. And we were just like, wow, did Obama like do something terrible to you personally? Like you can do that. We're not gonna tell you you can't, but like
This house is in a state of emergency.
but
In fairness, you live in the South.
that is true. Like it's very possible that that person was racist and just pretended they were a Republican. I mean, they were probably also Republican,
Yeah.
but that's something else. And when I say something else, that is not to say I don't believe the Republican Party are racist. I don't believe Republicans are more likely to be racist.
Just
I
getting to the
just think
topic of some random
Southerners,
guy in the South
yeah,
being racist is.
I think Americans in general are more likely to be racist. And I think the South has a history of being racist.
What?
And the South currently has a history of being Republican.
What? No. The South racist? No. What? No. No.
Well, I
Come on,
phrase
Joe.
it like that because I don't want to say the South is more or less racist than the North, because certain parts of the North are like terribly racist.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
It's so like, sure, I experienced racism both through seeing people be racist towards people I knew as well as people being racist towards me growing up in the South. But like I've also heard significantly worse stories like from New England.
Oh yeah.
So I
Someone someone said that um the Midwest, like
mhm.
Minnesota, whatever, was super super racist. Like, no, there's just no black people there.
I feel like the
Like there
Midwest is
is.
probably the portion of the North that's the least
Yeah,
racist,
like they just
because they're just genuinely the friendliest.
yeah. It's not that they've scared off all the black people. It's that they just never went there because who's
Yeah,
fucking stupid enough to live in the Midwest?
I hate the Midwest.
It's cold.
I say I hate the Midwest. I feel like
I would love
this
to. I
this
would love to live there
yeah, this
because
is
I am
something I
stupid
am
enough to live
ashamed
there.
to say, but the Midwest is probably like the closest to where I'd fit in the most personality wise. The only thing I dislike about the Midwest is the Midwest just thinks they're better than everybody else for the dumbest reasons.
Yeah, not for like, oh, we're the most polite Because, like, they don't think that. They're humble. They're from the Midwest.
Like, people from Ohio think Ohio is the greatest state in the union. Now, if their reasoning is simply, well, I'm from Ohio and I like it here, that's fine. But their reasoning is never that. They always try to come up with these creative or interesting reasons why Ohio is a creative or interesting place to live. And it's just not.
It's not.
Ohio is boring. And half of it is very flat and the other half isn't very flat. But there's still nothing there.
Congrats, you have the Browns.
In the Bengals.
Oh yeah,
Like
that really. You're right, Joe.
like the part of Ohio that is almost interesting is just a more boring Western Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And yet everyone I know from Ohio thinks it's the best place. And I think part of it is Ohio State University,
Yeah, probably.
which is so strange to me because Ohio State like has a very high acceptance rate and a very high student body. So going to Ohio State is not inherently like a point of distinction.
Yeah.
It just has good athletics, but like a lot of schools have good athletics.
They've got
Ohio
athletics,
State
but
just
if they have good acceptance rates and a large student body, well,
yeah.
yeah, of course they have good athletics. Like, statistically speaking, yeah, they have good.
Yeah.
Like, just makes sense.
Pretty much, yeah. Um wow, this is quite the tangent. Freedom of speech. That's close enough to where we were. Yeah. So freedom of speech. So another thing that I don't like that I see all the time. Most of these complaints will be directed towards uh, right-leaning members of American society because right-leaning members are the ones that think they care the most about freedom of speech, but actually like don't.
Yeah.
Is this trend of seeing Republicans have like the "Don't tread on me" stickers or flags, followed then by having stickers or flags or decals with a blue line supporting the police, when like the whole idea of the "Don't tread on me" is an anti-police state.
Yeah.
And so American politics is rather confused right now, in my opinion,
How they
because
feel about
we seem
police
to
is,
no, no, like this is both the left and the right. Because the right seems to have gotten this idea that they care about states' rights and that the left cares about the big government. But that's opposite of the case. The right has always been more about the federal level, and the left has always been more about states' rights. And when I say right and left, I don't mean the right is always, I mean literally like the Republican Party versus the Democratic Party.
yes.
Um, and so these Republicans, so many that I know, and like self-proclaimed libertarians that say they hate a big government and they hate the man and all this stuff, but love local police and talk all about states' rights, but then just are also willing to spend trillions on the military.
Well,
Like,
who doesn't love Big Boom?
I mean, I like big explosions, but I just don't see the connection.
Yeah.
Like, if you hate government spending and you hate the federal government, why do you love the military?
A branch of the federal government.
Not just a branch, the part of the federal government that can kick your door in. They won't, but
Well,
like,
hi. Have you met Daniel Rex?
okay. My point was more so if they're really they keep talking about like fighting the government, fighting the man, and they're picturing themselves fighting the FBI or the ATF, but like in a real situation where, oh no, a
You
civil war has broken
have
out,
some
like you're
infantry.
fighting you're fighting the military. You're not going to be fighting the ATF. Sure, if you're running like a small cult who happens to be handling some serious firearms or drug activity, like sure you'll go up against the ATF, but uh, unless you're in Montana, that's probably not your life mission. Yeah, I get so confused, and then the right gets so upset about all this stuff, and has the audacity to say that the left are all snowflakes.
Everyone
Every
who gets involved deeply in politics is a fucking goddamn snowflake.
true.
You can't
Uh,
you can't handle anyone talking even disagreeing with you without like having to yell at them or getting super self defensive.
yeah.
Do you know how
Also,
conversation works?
Karens. The majority of Karens appear to be right leaning in like internet videos, and yet they're the ones that are offended by everything and are upset about everything.
Uh-huh.
And you mean to tell me that the right isn't full of snowflakes? Huh? Hmm?
Okay, Kermit,
No,
calm the
no,
fuck
no
down
more
over
of
there,
this.
all right?
No more of this Ben Shapiro checkmate liberals. Like, no. Like, obviously, yes, there are certain
Checkmate both of
people
you, dumbasses.
that get upset about things on the left. I'm not denying that, but it's just some people just make no sense to me.
On the subject of Karens,
Yeah.
we had a lady today come into the shop
Hmm.
as a representative for a company. We were doing work for said company. The work is going to be a little bit delayed because our shipments are back ordered. Out of our
Yep.
control, we ordered it as soon as we knew we needed it. Shipments are back ordered. It's going to be a little delayed. You know, Rob's a pretty chill guy. He's good at talking to people. And this lady just lost it, which was hilarious for us because she was telling the guys who were doing work on the assignment that she was upset was going to be late to stop working. What? So you're upset it's
Yeah.
going to be late. So your solution is stop the people who are working on it from working. What? Something in this math doesn't add up. Big Crusher, like I was making parts for it. The welders are going nuts working on it because deadlines are a thing that we try and stick to.
Hmm.
And so the welders are going insane speeds fixing this crusher up. This lady's like, stop, 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 stop. And I'm like, we're just trying to weld, trying to put it back together. And it's the thing you're upset about that we're trying to fix. Like, come on, man. we just want to get this done. I don't want to have this in the shop anymore. It takes up a lot of space. It's in the way of me using the bandsaw, and I like using the bandsaw because it's relaxing. You ever used a horizontal bandsaw, Joe? It'll soothe you, man.
I don't know.
It's like, the sound of rain on a tin roof?
Yes.
It's like that, but quieter. And
Uh
just,
huh.
just a nice, low, soothing sound. And you just
That's
stand there.
nice. Yeah.
Very calming. Good way to, get some stress relief after you lock your keys in your car. And you have to ask a large Serbian man to break into your car.
How was that today? So, getting back to on topic, Michael had a rough day today.
I had a
Um,
great day today.
well, on paper, it was a rough day. I don't know how you handled it, but on paper, it was a rough day.
So, the good news, the day started out with some good news. I got some sleep. I got 20 minutes of sleep at the start of the day. The bad news was it made me 5 minutes late to start my shift because I showed up to work, fell asleep in my car, got 20 minutes of sleep.
Well,
Whatever.
that's kind of where I wanted to start with is last night so that we can then explain your current state today.
Oh, so it was quarter after 11, and I'm like, well, I can't go upstairs now because my body will refuse to get out of bed in time to get to work in the morning. So I
And
like just
why were you up at quarter after?
no, I was just
You're
talking to
you're
you.
almost at
We were just having a good time.
there. Yeah, but why were we talking? We're almost to the beginning of the story, Michael.
I don't know. You messaged
It's
me. I was in the shower and I got out of the shower
so
and
last night I was in the middle of a bit of an anxiety attack, I suppose you could say, as I was panicking over the end of the semester, which I do quite often. And so I got Michael's attention and got him in a call so that we could just talk for a little bit. Um, so I could just vent because I didn't have anybody else to vent to. But you normally go to lay down at the very latest at 10. And I got you into the call at maybe like 9:15, 9:30. So it was kind of cutting it close. We had our conversation. It helped me a lot. I'm a lot calmer. Today was largely a good day, whereas today would have, without that conversation, been hell. Um, and because of the conversation, you were up past 10, which is like your deadline for going to lay down, so that you're able to get all the rest you need for the next day, or attempt to get all the rest you need.
physical rest. Physical rest.
Yes, physical rest. So then you decided to just pull an all-nighter.
Yeah, I did.
Uh-huh.
And then at about 2, you went to bed.
Oh, about that, I did not fall asleep until like 4:45. I had a terrible time trying to sleep.
At about quarter to 4, I went upstairs. I started watching YouTube on my phone because, how it be. My regular stuff, 5:30. I started the car. Quarter to 6, got in the car, went to work. I got to work 6:30-ish. Fell asleep at some point. Woke up at like 7:02 or something and got into work when I started at 7. And so it was late getting to work, but I finally got about half hour rest. I finished getting changed at work and I can't feel my keys. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I grab a flashlight, go outside because my windows have a dark tint on them, point the flashlight through the tinted window, and I can see my keys sitting on the passenger seat. So now I'm freaking the fuck out. Because CAA, I had to get an oil change today after work. And with what time my oil change was at, there was no way I could wait for CAA after work. But I also didn't have time during the day because I was working to wait for CAA. So I was freaking out. And I went up to George, who is a large Serbian man who moved from Serbia to Canada. I was like, hey, don't take this the wrong way, but do you know how to break into a car? And he was like, I can't believe you'd even ask me something like that. But yes, I do. What do you need? I locked my keys in my car. He got them out for me. He's a great guy. Love George to death. He helps so much around the shop, and he's a great guy to talk to about mental health issues because me and him are very similar. Anyway, so that was a rough start to the day, but it worked out in the end. I got to see George break into my car. I got some sleep. And then I was working on making nuts because the nuts we had wouldn't come in soon enough for the bitchy lady. So we were just
Mhm.
like, fuck it, we'll make them. So I made them. And I don't have temperature feelings in my right arm and hand. And the problem with that is when you tap something and give it threads, like a nut, they tend to get hot. And so I would pick it up with my right hand and then thread it onto the rod to make sure it fit. And I no longer have fingerprints on any of my fingers on my right hand because I burned them off on accident because I couldn't tell that the metal was warm until it physically burned me. The good news about that
Beauty.
is I no longer have any fingerprints. Crimes? You already know, baby.
Oh my word. Yeah. So the message I received from you today
Good
said,
news,
and
bad
I
news. Good
quote,
news, bad news.
good news, I got a half hour of sleep. Bad news, I woke up at 7:02. Good news, I was already at work. Bad news, I locked my keys in the car. Good news, George knows how to break into cars. Uh, there was also no explanation as to who George was. I've never heard this name before.
Be the guy.
Bad news, I burnt my fingers because I didn't realize it was hot. Good news, now I can commit crimes without leaving prints. So there was just a lot of the story left out. Like, obviously, I know you work in a machine shop, so I understood what was hot, but it was still just like, huh, okay, sure.
Just gotta accept it, man.
Yeah.
I sent almost the identical thing to Olivia, and her
Mhm.
response was just, "I have so many questions."
Fair.
I was like, "It's been a ride today, and I came out on top, and that's all that matters." Got all the shit I needed to get done, and had a good time. I had a couple laughs. Of course, the guys thought it was fucking hilarious that I locked my keys in my car. I'm freaking the fuck
Which
out,
is
and everyone's
understandable.
just like, "Ah, you fucking idiot." No, it was mentally exhausting, and then went did some Christmas shopping this afternoon, which is nice.
Thank you.
That and also like I legitimately went and bought Christmas presents for my sister
Oh,
and
no, no, no.
my
I
girlfriend.
knew that that was what you meant.
But yes, I also spent some money to get you and I in a whole bunch of games because why not?
Hmm.
Unfortunately, it's just about midnight.
So it is.
I am actually streaming more often again. I've streamed a whole 2 times in the past 3 weeks, which is more than I had streamed in the past 2 months before that.
Yeah.
Um, you can
I
catch me during the week at Mikester390 on Twitch.
Yeah, I have also started streaming more often, as I will be streaming operations done with the Arma unit at the very minimum. Um, so those streams will be 7 p.m. Eastern time, Fridays and Sundays, maybe Saturdays, most assuredly, as well as I might be streaming during the week randomly. You can no longer find me at Casual Joe underscore gaming. You can now find me still on Twitch at Cephas, followed by two underscores. That's CEPHUS and then two underscores.
If you are listening on Twitch right now, live, you're a beauty.
We
Um,
appreciate you.
we do have a YouTube channel, which is C and M in the PM, and we also have a Spotify, which is C the and symbol M in the PM. And there are up to week 4 of the recordings that worked on both of those at the moment. Um, if you're listening on either YouTube or Spotify, we stream our um, recording sessions live on Twitch, CNM in the PM.
Yeah. Thank you
Thanks.
for listening. This episode's been very scattered. Uh,
They
it's
all
covered
are.
multiple taboo topics, but it is what it is.
one of them's called "If Hitler Wore Crocs" or something like that. So I mean,
Yeah, that episode is Hitler wore camo Crocs. All of these episodes are scattered. At this point, our podcast has become what we always knew it would be, just a recording of whatever we're talking about at the time, which means sometimes it's more interesting than other times. Um, so, like for tonight, arguably less interesting than whatever conversations we were having earlier, but also those conversations were slightly distracted by the fact that we
video
were playing
games.
video games. Yes. As well as the distractions, not the distractions, conversations are very difficult to listen to when we're typically hanging out. It's better during the podcast because we're both trying our hardest.
Yeah, but
However,
when it's just us chilling, the talking
it's
stick comes into
terrible.
play, and
Yes. So we came to the revelation earlier that the way we communicate is we basically have a talking stick. And
like,
whoever has the talking stick, of course, um,
is the one
has
talking.
access to is the one talking. But the problem is the talking stick is also the listening stick.
And we
And
both have a
so
tendency to zone right the fuck out.
for different reasons, but basically the only time effective communication occurs is when the talking stick is in transfer. So I pick up the last few things Michael said, and he picks up the first few things I say, and then the last few things.
Yeah.
So if one of us talks for too long, the conversation will end with the other person just apologizing for not listening.
Bro, you
But
want
if
to
we
run that
keep
one
the
past me
conversation
again there, buddy?
flowing close enough together, then it works out.
2 or 3 sentences max at a time.
Yeah.
So a screw just fell out of my chair. Again. For the third time tonight. And I think that's a great way to end the podcast.